Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. I'm Vikas Srivastava. I'm joined with Mr. Hitesh Vaid, who is the CFO of Cairn Oil Gas, to talk to us about their growth plans and also their investment strategy. Welcome to NDTV Profit.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, last time we met, I remember you spoke about your financial strategy where you are planning to invest close to $4 billion on growth. So what is the current status on that and which are these projects where you are working on?
Correct. Yeah, so last time we had said, for our growth, since our vision is to double our production, we were planning to invest 4 billion and we were on the table trying to, work out our projects. Now we have a large number of projects which are ready. For some of these, we have already awarded contracts. The key one for, which will help us to, achieve our vision will be first is, the project which we call as Mangla ASP, which is an enhanced oil recovery project, where from an existing field we will extract more oil. The recovery, which is at say currently 35-40%, will go up to 50-55%. So beyond that, in the Rajasthan field only, we are going to invest for tight oil. Tight oil fields, we have a large volume which is in place, already discovered, and we have cracked the technology also from North America. Now that we will implement in our field, we are trying to implement it in a big way, which will help us to generate larger volumes. So beyond Rajasthan, we are also focusing on exploration. One of the key.
Before you go ahead, just wanted to ask you, are saying that your enhanced oil recovery plan will help you to increase your capacity to 55%. So by when that you are looking at? What's the time frame for that?
So the recovery happens over a period of time. However, the project implementation has already started. The work is happening on the ground. For first part, we have already invested the money, and we'll start injecting the ASP chemicals later, during the current calendar year, and we'll start seeing the benefit at the end of the year. So the volume accretion will start happening now, and then we will scale it up to all our fields across Rajasthan.
So once you do that, what's the capacity that you will have in terms of total oil number of barrels?
See, to give a number, will be too early, right? Because it requires a lot of other, disclosure requirements. But what I can say is that the intent is the volume trajectory will go up, because now we'll be able to recover larger volumes from the same field.
But exact volumes you can't.
Not now, because that we'll still work out, and we'll have to follow the due process for it.
So apart from your Mangla, Bhagyam and Aishwarya fields, which are the other areas and geographies where you are looking at and where you already see potential reserves?
So one, as I said, is the tight oil, which is present in the current, Rajasthan block only, which will help us to give us larger volume, and we are investing capital. Beyond Rajasthan, we have current 2 producing fields, which is, East Coast and West Coast. We will continue to do more wells, both from development and exploration side. But besides, this, the larger opportunity which we think which is going to be a game changer for Cairn is one is deep water. We have a large block there. There are existing discoveries, and we have already mobilizing a vessel to do some data capturing, which will help us to drill wells next year. We plan to drill 3 to 6 wells next year. So that is one big opportunity. And given
which block is this you are talking about? On the east or west?
In the East Coast, the KG Basin. Right, and of course there are new rounds which are announced, which are focused on deep water, so it will help us to plan for that as well. Besides the deep water block for exploration, we are very bullish on the northeast. We have now a large portfolio in northeast. We have drilled few wells, and we are hoping for that this will turn out to be another Rajasthan for us. We changed the we made Rajasthan a big oil place. Now we intend to replicate the same in northeast.
So what's the potential there in the northeast? Is it gas or it's a crude oil there?
It will be mixed, right? Other players who have found discoveries there, they produce oil as well as gas. So we think it's going to be a mix of both. And I think whatever we find, we are hopeful that there will be good market and we'll be able to sell everything. Anyway, we know India imports more than 80% now.
Of the 4 billion that you said, that's over 3 to 4 years. So out of that, how much has already been spent, and how many wells you all are looking to drill this year?
See, number of wells which we drill annually is close to it's between the range 50 to 70, right? So one is that which we have been traditionally following. With new projects coming in, like the tight oil, shale, which we are trying to do in Rajasthan as well as deep water, this number is going to increase every year on year. Plus, from your question on amount of investments, right? We have already spent, in the last few months, around say $400 million. But what we have already done, as I was trying to say, is that we have committed money for the bigger, work which we are going to do in tight oil, in ASP, for shale and for deep water. So this involves substantial investments where we have started committing money for that as well.
Okay, So how much you are looking for FY26 or calendar year 25?
So we should be spending around $500 to $600 million in that. Now this once we drill those exploration well, and once we have the data available, then we start development, which will involve the larger amount of money which will be spent on monetizing them.
Two more questions. One on investments, as in sourcing the funds for these projects. From where you are getting the funding?
So Cairn, obviously we have a large producing assets, both onshore and offshore, and we rely on internal accrual. So historically we have always relied on internal accrual, and our plan also assumes that we will be able to manage this through internal accruals.
And one last question on, there is a lot of talk about decarbonization, and being a fossil fuel based company, what are your plans for net zero?
So
for Cairn Oil?
Yeah. So while we produce fossil fuels, but obviously we also want to ensure that we contribute towards net zero. So our plan is to reach there by 2030. Now there are steps to reach there. One is obviously what we have done is, for our operations we have started sourcing renewable energy. So for our operations, rather than depending on the grid and the state power supplies, we are relying on now renewable, which we have started. We start receiving at our plants. Second is, of course, the easier part is to plant more trees, where we have a commitment of 2 million trees. The third one is as I said, we are looking at increasing recovery in our field. One of the option to recover increase recovery is through carbon. So given our inventory of wells, we will do a carbon capture, and then we will inject into our field. So it is not only about reaching net zero, but it will be a revenue earning stream for us also, where we will be able to produce more hydrocarbon out of it.
So inject in fields means, if you will capture the carbon, how would you inject?
So then the way it happens in oil and gas is, once your primary and secondary recovery is over, then you go into tertiary mode. There currently we have been investing in polymers as well as ASPs. They are different forms of liquids which you inject to recover more. Carbon is also one of the options which is used globally as an enhanced oil recovery method. We are testing that in some of our specific fields, and we believe that it will work, and it will help us to not only ensure that we reach our net zero, but be a revenue source for us by generating more hydrocarbon.
Okay. One additional question to this: how much of carbon you expect to capture through this process? And second would be on renewables. Are you also looking at setting up capacities for renewable wind, solar?
So carbon amount will depend on the studies which we are doing, right? And obviously the objective is to remain at net zero, but that assessment of the number is part of that study, which will give us how much carbon is there, how much we can capture in our wells, and how much we can inject into for recovery. So that is work in progress. The other part of the question was from a business model point of view, we are not going to invest in renewables, because as part of the larger Vedanta group, we already have an entity which is into renewables, Serentica. So we will focus on the job which we have to do is to find more hydrocarbon and produce for India, to ensure that we bring energy security to the country.
Thank you very much for talking to NDTV Profit. Thank you.